Supreme and P9's Dump Truck Adventures, Mardi Gras Madness. Highway out of Gettysburg. The dump truck was still dusted with fake cannon smoke and blue-gray rags from the Gettysburg reenactment. Supreme sat behind the wheel, stifling a cough. P9 was in the passenger seat, half asleep, with a Union cap still tilted on his head. "Christ almighty," Supreme muttered. "Only you could turn a Civil War reenactment into a food fight. Who the hell pelts the Confederacy with funnel cakes?" P9 yawned. "They were asking for it. Plus, I won. That counts as history." Supreme shook his head, downshifted the big rig, and the truck roared like an angry brass band. "Forget history. We're heading south. New Orleans. Mardi Gras. If Gettysburg was rehearsal, Bourbon Street's the war." Bourbon Street arrival. They rolled into New Orleans at twilight. The truck's hazard lights blinked like cheap Mardi Gras beads. Crowds were jammed shoulder to shoulder, drunk on brass music and daiquiris. People cheered when the dump truck pulled onto Bourbon Street. "They think we're afloat," P9 laughed, leaning out the window. He tossed an empty energy drink can into the crowd. The crowd actually cheered louder. Supreme grinned. "Perfect cover. Afloat nobody ordered." But beneath the carnival there was business. Word was a shipment of special beads, stuffed with diamonds meant for a quiet handoff, had been hijacked. Problem? Every damn float in Mardi Gras carried beads. They'd have to dig them out before some local crew did. The Fox in the crowd. At a jazz club off Dauphine Street, they met the contact. Renard, the Fox Boudreaux, slick suit, sly grin. He leaned on the bar, drink in hand. "You boys made quite the entrance," he said, accent dripping with molasses. "But them diamonds? Gone. Somebody lifted them straight off the crew float." Supreme leaned in. "And let me guess, you want us to play janitor?" Renard smiled wider. "Nah, I want you to play winners. Find them before Big Lou Fontenot does, or this carnival ends with bodies in the river." P9 cracked his knuckles. "Don't worry, Fox. Me and this truck, we ain't ever lost a parade." Float Yard Showdown. Later that night, they rumbled into a float storage yard by the river. Giant papier-mâché dragons, jesters, and crowns towered over them in the shadows. Supreme climbed onto a float shaped like a golden crown and ripped open a crate of beads. Beads spilled everywhere, clattering like cheap rain. P9 spotted it first, a strand tied sloppy, heavier than the rest. He snapped it, and diamonds glittered in the light. "That's our payday," he said, grinning. But the yard gates slammed, SUVs boxed them in. Out stepped Big Lou Fontenot, 6'5" and smiling like a gator. "Boys," Lou drawled, "I do appreciate you finding my jewels. Now put 'em down nice and easy." Bourbon Street chase. The truck barreled down Bourbon Street, beads raining out the back like confetti. Drunks screamed in joy, grabbing them up, not realizing some were laced with diamonds. Lou's SUVs fishtailed behind, engines howling. P9 leaned out the passenger side with a sack of plain beads, whipping them at windshields. "Bead attack, motherfrushers!" One SUV swerved into a brass band. The trombone player smashed the hood with his instrument, denting it. The crowd cheered like it was all part of Mardi Gras. Supreme laughed. "Only in New Orleans can a getaway double as a parade act." They swerved hard, ditched the SUVs, and parked the truck by the levee, hidden under a rain of streamers and drunks. Quiet handoff. Back at Renard's jazz club, Supreme slid the diamonds onto the bar in a greasy paper bag. "Mission complete," he said. Renard whistled low. "Impressive, mon ami. You saved my skin, and maybe the festival, too." P9 leaned back, grinning. "Next year, we want our own float with hydraulics." Mrs. Supreme, who'd flown in just in time to see them stumble back, smelling like whiskey and dust, rolled her eyes. "You two are afloat. A float full of trouble." Lesson in the beads. On the way out, Supreme watched tourists clawing over beads like they were worth blood. Funny, he muttered. Plastic trinkets make people fight harder than gold. That's Mardi Gras for you. P9 nodded. Morale of the story? Don't get blinded by the shine. Sometimes the beads are just beads. Supreme smirked. And sometimes the beads get you killed. The truck roared into the night, exhaust fog mixing with jazz horns. Two idiots in a dump truck leaving behind a trail of broken floats, and one more story for the street. And that's another wild ride, straight out of Supreme and P9's dump truck adventures, Supreme said over the rumble. If you ain't already locked in with Bambi's channel, you're missing the real stories. Hit that subscribe, smash the like, and ring the damn bell. Or next time, you're riding shotgun when we barrel down Bourbon Street.